A few years ago, I went on a European trip, and when I look back on it now, there are three things that jump out at me. First, I lost weight on that trip, even though I ate just as much like a pig, like I always do, you know? And I attribute that to the far greater walkability of European cities, coupled with the fact that I was lugging around a gigantic heavy backpack almost everywhere I went. Second thing I noticed about Europe is that the pace of service in European restaurants is way different than it is in America. It's way slower, it's more relaxed. The wait staff are not inattentive, but they're also not up your ass, like, could I get you baked potatoes? How's everything go, guys? Third, European architecture is far healthier for the human spirit than these utilitarian and interchangeable little boxes that plague America. And it's this idea that I want to talk about today. You know, I'm not going to claim to be any sort of expert on architecture, all right? All I know is that ornate and beautiful buildings that are constructed to last feel more psychologically gratifying than disposable buildings that feel like they're going to be torn down in 50 years, or else they're going to be dilapidated shit heaps. And maybe to some of you this seems like an entirely unimportant matter, but I disagree. Human beings are aware of our surroundings. If we are somewhere dirty and disgusting, we feel gross. If we're somewhere opulent and lush, we feel luxuriant. If we're somewhere beautiful and ancient, we feel our humanity being affirmed. If we're somewhere that's transient and utilitarian like most of America, what signal does that send to our brains? I think it tells us that we are in a place that values only efficiency and cost-cutting, a place that sees little worth in beauty or permanence. It tells us that we are in a world that prioritizes the disposable over the enduring, the functional over the inspirational. What does that do to the human psyche over time? I believe it erodes our sense of connection. It erodes our appreciation for craftsmanship, and even our belief that we're capable of creating something lasting and meaningful. When you stand in front of a big, looming Gothic cathedral, or a Renaissance plaza, or even a quaint medieval alleyway, there is a tangible sense that the people who built these places cared deeply about their craft and about the generations who would inhabit and admire their work long after they were gone. Compare that to the bland sameness of strip malls and chain restaurants and office parks. Those places weren't built with love or intention, they were built with profit and expedience in mind. I think the architecture of America is bad for us. I think it dehumanizes us. I think it whispers to us that we don't matter, that our function trumps our form, that we are unworthy of better than a series of characterless boxes. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying every gas station needs to live like the Taj Mahal or some shit. But if you look at an old gas station or restaurant, they used to have character. They used to be inviting. They didn't put form over function, but they didn't place no value on form either. And am I saying go back to this? No, going backwards is always a mistake, but what I am saying is that we need to start valuing form again. Like the rich do. You look at a shopping center in Beverly Hills, it doesn't send the message that you're a disposable piece of shit that nobody cares about. It looks inviting. It looks nice. It looks like a place where you're valued and your humanity is recognized. You're not just a drone. Go into a box. You matter enough to be presentable for. You matter enough to impress. This disparity in architectural quality isn't just a coincidence. It's a reflection of societal values and power dynamics. Because architecture communicates, whether we realize it or not. For the rich, the message is clear. You are important. And the world around you should reflect your worth. But for the poor, the message is equally clear, but devastatingly so. You are invisible, undeserving of beauty or care, and for the rest of us that fall in between, the message also falls somewhere in between. You're functional. Just like the buildings around you. Get the job done and don't expect anything more. This is why the architecture of wealth feels inspiring, while the architecture of poverty feels soul-crushing, and the architecture of the middle class feels like a grave void. Neither horrific nor uplifting, just there. Is this the most pressing issue that faces us as a people? Certainly it's not, but that doesn't mean it's trivial. Not every issue needs to be the most urgent crisis to warrant some discussion. In fact, some of the quieter, more subtle problems, like the uglification of our built environment, can have profound effects on our collective psyche over time. Our surroundings shape us in ways we don't always notice. They influence how we feel about ourselves, how we interact with one another, and even how we envision our future. While we grapple with the monumental challenges like climate change or economic inequality or political unrest, shouldn't we also pay some attention to the everyday conditions that silently shape our lives? It's not a question of either or. It's a question of recognizing that the spaces we inhabit matter. Architecture may not save the world, but it reflects what we value as a society. If we continue to value profit over beauty, efficiency over care, and disposability over permanence, what does that say about our culture? Well, it says we suck. And anything we can do to suck less, I'm for. That's all for now.